Hi everybody, Jane here, and today I am actually at one of our historic areas in Lancaster, Ohio, or actually I'm probably just outside of Lancaster, but it's not very far outside. This area here used to be a canal, and as some of you know, I'm currently researching a romance story of time travel romance involving the Ohio canals. So I was really excited to share with you some of the historic, sites that I'm looking at here. We're going to come up top here and look down into this area, and I believe that this is one of the locks. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, a lock is kind of like, to my understanding, an elevator, and it was how boats were lifted into places in the canal that were higher up. So they would shut off the water behind the lock. As you can see, it's kind of far up. I don't want to drop my phone because that water is mucky and yucky these days. But they would close off a dam and let it fill up with the water till the boat rose to the level they needed it. And at that point, once the boat had risen to the level they needed it, it could go where it needed in the canal to the next area. Now, locks were a bit problematic because they kind of caused a backup. When you're at a lock, only one boat can go at a time, and sometimes it was several hours wait, maybe even days waiting from some of the accounts I've heard to get over these locks. And sometimes there would actually be fights breaking out about the locks and about whose turn it was going to be to go. There's a little more over here that I want to take you to because I just think this is so fun, and that's a little covered bridge. I don't know if it was there during the time of the canal and the canal ran under it, or if that has been made since after the canal was closed up. I expect it was after the canals ended, but I'm not sure. So this is another part of the lock down here. For anybody who doesn't know, canals were how people used to move goods before the railroads. Wagons were not very efficient, and it was very difficult to move your goods on a wagon and very expensive. So they dug out canals. And this up here, where I'm walking now, would have been the towpath, which is where the horses or mules would have been pulling the canal boats. So the canal boats are attached to horses or mules, and somebody up here called a hoagie is whacking the back of the horses and mules and driving them forward. And as you're driving them forward, you're pulling the boat in that direction over the water. And, basically, that's what you did all day for, I think it was 16 hours a day. They had, I believe the last person I talked to about it said that there were usually 2 hoagies on a ship or on a canal boat, and they would take turns during the daylight hours of doing, half shifts. So you get up early with the dawn, you drive the horses or mules all day, and this was usually a child too. I've heard different accounts of age, but I'd say probably somewhere from 8 and up. So this is a young child who can be a hoagie, and again inside the part of the lock that remains today. And it's just absolutely amazing, the history here. This would be a young child driving the mules, usually an orphan, but not always. Sometimes it would be, you know, a child who was lent out by their parents for the summer months, because that was one of the challenges of the canals, is they only worked during the summer. During the winter time, and again, here's a better view of the towpath here. This is what I was walking up, and the towpath is where the horses and the mules would have been. I have not gone all the way down. There is more walls and parts of the canal down there, but I'm not actually going to go any further. I'm just going to look at these 2 bits of canal and then head back, just because it is kind of a hot day, and I am here solo, which I don't normally go out walking solo, but it happened today. So we're going to walk historic towpath here, and again, this is where young boys would have driven the mules. In the canals, the captain of the ship would have made sure it was going forward, made sure his men weren't messing with the stuff they were carrying. Often canal captains' families lived on the boat, so his wife would be cleaning the boat, his daughters cooking, all that stuff aboard the boat. Life was pretty typical. When the winter came, the boats would be stopped, and the kids would go to school if they could. Oftentimes ice skating to get to their school. So that's neat. And this is all something I didn't know about Ohio. I'd grown up here, but I'd never really been taught about any of this. If I was taught about it in school, it didn't stick with me. I didn't remember, and this is a huge part of our history. It wasn't until last year when I was visiting historic sites to set up my Barton series book. That's when somebody had said, "Oh, have you visited Roscoe Village?" And Roscoe Village is a few hours away from where I live. So I hadn't. But I went up there, and they have a canal boat you can ride, and it was a really, really exciting experience, and it inspired me to put together a story that I'm working on right now. And again, I'm just here today for some inspiration, and I wanted to share it all with you. I will probably be doing some of my writing for the actual book here, though how much is hard to say. It will depend on when I start first drafting. I did do a lot of research here, and it's so cool to have just the feel for this historic place. So I wanted to share that with you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.